Hello, and welcome to Integrating Technologies. My name is Rich Ciora, and I will be your instructor for this class. I'm a professional educator with experience teaching in a self-contained 6th grade classroom, working as a technology teacher for many years, teaching students of various grade levels while providing professional development to staff, and currently work as a technology coordinator for a New Jersey public school district. I attended the Ramapo MSET Master's Program when it was first starting out. In fact, I was in the first graduating class when the technology was very different from what it is today. I began teaching in that program shortly after graduation in 2001 and have been a faculty member there since. Enough about me. Let's get started with the class. Now, I look at the course as being divided into 5 general areas, the first being organizational tools. These are apps and approaches that we can use to maybe make our life a little easier, to expand our capabilities, to be better organized, more efficient. Area number 2, educational social media, could be a course in itself. It's a complicated area, but what we're going to focus on is how to use some of these tools to expand ourselves professionally. The third area, Google Apps, add-ons, and extensions, allows us to tap into some of those things that expand the Google tools that we generally use. Google provides a lot of free tools for educators to use, or for anyone to use for that matter, and we take advantage of those, but there are extensions and add-ons written by other people that make those even better, and they're well worth exploring. Number 4, although a lot of people have transitioned into the cloud or work largely in the cloud, it doesn't mean we don't work with traditional productivity software, and most commonly Microsoft Office. So there are some tricks and tips for using that I've found that many educators either aren't aware of or haven't seen a use for that can in fact be very useful, and we'll look at some of those. And the last area is web apps for students. So these are things that you can introduce to your students, you can use in class, they can use independently, that students tend to like and can be very useful for them. Now, all of these topics, we're going to be looking at them in an educational environment. Communication is particularly important in an online class. It's very easy to lose track of each other or to have misunderstandings. The Moodle will be our primary container for content and way to distribute information. You can access video and other information there for your class assignments. You can submit most assignments through the Moodle unless otherwise specified, and that is where you'll participate in online discussions. To contact me, use the listed email address. I pick that up daily and I will respond to you as quickly as possible. Use this to ask questions, clarify directions, make suggestions, comments, share with me anything you'd like to share. After you complete the initial survey, I will take the email addresses of other students and I will post them so you will have access to contact each other as necessary. The third item listed there is a Gmail address. This is not an official Ramapo Gmail address due to some restrictions that are in place, but it's one that I use where students can share their work from the program or documents created in Google that are shared with this Gmail address. Now know that I do not check this Gmail address for email. So if you try to contact me here, I will not get it. Okay, this is used strictly as an address for you to share documents when necessary. So, to clarify, contact me at the first email address at ramapo.edu. Share Google products with me at the second address at gmail.com. And this is an area that's often confusing for students and they forget. So that if you can get this now, it will save some problems in the future. This course is organized into 15 self-contained modules, each of which will become available to you at the beginning of the week. Each one begins with a weekly overview, which should lay out for you the assignments and activities that we're going to be doing, and you should use that video to help organize yourself. Content will be delivered during using video lessons and may include links to websites, articles, notes, etc. At the bottom of each week will be a series of optional resources and extensions. These are things related to the topic, but not required. So they're things that you may choose to look at or may choose to do if you find the topic particularly interesting or you have some time, but they are in no way a requirement of the class. Assessment is an area that students find particularly important. This information is posted in the syllabus at the top of the Moodle, but we'll review it quickly here. Activities and assignments are rather small activities that will be done each week and will count for 60% of your overall grade. Participation will be measured through class discussions hosted on the Moodle, and they will count for 20% of the grade. And there will be one final project that will be due at the end of the course and will also count as 20% of the grade. The timely completion of assignments is extremely important, and particularly in an online class. Assignments tend to lose their value when they're submitted late, and in an online class it's especially easy to get behind or to mismanage your time. Therefore, the deadlines will impact your assessments in this class, so we want you to meet your deadlines. That being said, I realize you're working professionals, you have family commitments, you have personal commitments, and life sometimes gets in the way. Therefore, the deadlines for these particular assignments are generous. As a general rule, the assignments and activities given in 1 week should be completed during that week, and to be on schedule you would be done with those before the start of the next class. However, the deadlines will allow you more time should you need it. Final project will be introduced in week 10, and there will be adequate time to complete that when it is due at the end of the course. The reason for this is a certain amount of instruction should be completed before you start this assignment, and the scope of the assignment is not so large that this should be stressful for you during that time period. Now, how do late assignments impact your grade? Next to each assignment, 2 dates will be posted on the Moodle. The first is a due date. As I said before, this was calculated to be generous. You're very welcome to get them in well ahead of the due date. But if they are in by the due date, you are eligible for up to 100% of the available score. If you miss the due date, the second date represents a cutoff date. So if your assignment is in after the due date, but before or up to the cutoff date, your assignment is now eligible for 80% of what it once was. A perfect assignment submitted between the due date and the cutoff date is worth 80. After the cutoff date, I feel that the assignment has lost its value and that no credit will be issued for that assignment. So please stay organized and stay on top of it. You guys are professionals, and keep track of this so we don't have any unfortunate circumstances. Those of you who have taken core courses know that they're generally structured around some checkpoints and smaller assignments, but they do include a series of larger projects throughout the semester. This course is structured differently. There are fewer major projects, just the final project at the end, and there are a series of smaller but more frequent activities and assignments. Participation in class discussions is also a requirement. In an online class, it is very easy to lose track of your classmates. We have a lot of talented people with a lot of professional knowledge, and I'd like to leverage that to the benefit of the class. Therefore, discussion in these class discussions through the forum in the Moodle will count as part of the assessment. We expect that people will make meaningful contributions on a regular basis. The last thing I ask is that you provide feedback throughout the semester. Let me know if something's working, let me know if something's not, let me know if you have a suggestion. I can use this information to some degree to make adjustments throughout the class, and I certainly can weigh it and incorporate it into future versions of the class. During this class, you will be required to install extensions and add-ons into the Google environment. I've taken some care in choosing which of these we'll be using. I've chosen only free apps, so you will not incur any cost. I've also avoided apps that had limited trials. There are things out there that are very good and that you can use completely free for 30 days or 60 days or 4 times, but that then you need to pay for them, and I didn't think they were the most productive thing to include in a course. Now, there are apps that have limited functionality that I have included. That's because the functionality is good and it's adequate, and you're free to upgrade to a pro version at a cost, but that they'd still be useful if you didn't. The apps I picked are generally cross-platform, meaning that they'll work on a Mac, a PC, an iPhone, an Android, another tablet, and on the web. Now, not all of these apps work in all of these platforms, but I stayed away from ones that were particularly narrow in their support. Also, I tried to pick ones where even if you were on a device that wasn't supported, had a web interface that could be used regardless. Now, you may, and I encourage you to, uninstall the apps when we're done using them. You should keep the ones you find useful. You should remove the ones you don't find useful and that you don't see yourself using in the future. Some of these apps have phone versions. Some of them are particularly useful on the phone. Evernote is one. I rarely use it on my computer, but I use it frequently on my phone. However, as part of this class, it is not required that you make that installation on your phone. I don't think that's a reasonable requirement. However, please feel free to do so, and I encourage you to do so if you think this is going to be something useful for you. The first resource posted each week will be a weekly overview of what is to be done that week. You may have already viewed Week 1 overview, and if so, you know all about it. If not, I encourage you to do it as soon as you finish watching this video. And just some final thoughts before we get started. We can't explore it all, there's too much out there. So I've tried to take a sampling of what I think is the best and might be the most appropriate, but please, if you know of something else, share. Share it with all of us, we can all learn. Teacher needs are varied, so provide some feedback along the way. We can make adjustments for subject or grade level, and I'd like people to get as much out of the class as possible. So let's get started.